Hello guys, welcome back. So in today's video we're going to be talking about understanding your computer specifications. So you don't just go to the market and purchase any kind of computer. You need to understand exactly what you want to do with a computer system before attempting to go to the market to purchase a computer. So the first thing we'll be considering today is the processor speed. So this processor speed is the speed of something called the CPU, which is the central processing unit. And the central processing unit is just like the brain of every computer. So the processor speed is the speed at which your computer can run your applications like Photoshop, Microsoft Word, your OBS, etc. Technically, your browsers are also part of this application, but basically the processor speed depends more on the local applications. So images, video and text files are significantly bigger and heavier than text files. So if you're doing something like video editing, graphic design, you will need a higher processor for good processing speed, else your system is going to get slow. But if you just need your PC for emailing, texting, words, then the processor speed of your computer will not matter. So the type of processors you should be considering is the i3, the i5 and the i7. Okay, so this is also a CPU, a central processing unit. So the processor you should be considering is the i3, the i5 and the i7. So if you are doing something like playing music, watching movie, emailing, texting, then the core i3 is okay for you. It's one of the slowest among the three of them, but that does not mean that it's not fast. So it's still fast, but it's the slowest among the three of them. But if you're considering something like graphics design, a bit of video editing, then the core i5 will be best for you. Then if you're considering going in depth in video editing and maybe something like gaming, then you should be considering the core i7. Okay, now due to the progression in technology, there is also core i9. All right, but core i7 will be better for you even in gaming and others. But in the recent technologies, core i9 is also available. So you can also consider that when you're purchasing a system for higher tax. So don't get me wrong, nobody is going to open the system for you when you go to the market to purchase your system and start showing you the cores and the kind of processor it has. No, when you get a system, you're going to log into that system and search for the system properties to see this. I'm going to do a video separate on that, how to see all this specification I'm talking about on your system. But then this is a kind of code you will see to identify which type of core you have on that particular system. Okay, so the Intel core, here identify the brand. Okay, so this is the brand and this is the brand modifier, and this is the generation. The 10 here is the generation. The 65 here is something called the SKU. Okay, the SKU is the stock keeping unit. So you just a numeric and a letter. So some of them used to have maybe have something like 65U, 65I, 43, whatever. So depending on the number. So you just a number and a letter that they use to identify their products. Okay, so the G7 here identified the level of graphics. Okay, the level of graphics. Then of course this is a processor. Okay, so the next thing to consider is clock speed. The clock speed measures the number of cycles your computer executes or perform a particular task per second. So these speeds are measured in gigahertz. So sometimes you will see something like 1 gigahertz, 2 gigahertz, 2.0, 2.0, 2.5, 2.6, okay, and so on. So the higher the clock speed, the faster your system. So if you are doing something like the emailing and the texting, 1.5 clock speed should be okay for you, gigahertz. So, but if you are doing something like intense video editing and gaming, you should be considering something like 2.3, 2.5 and above. Okay, now also have this in mind: a higher processor speed i7 plus a higher clock speed, maybe 2.5 or 2.6, to about 2.6 gigahertz, will give you a low battery life. Okay, Okay, so when you have a higher processor speed and a higher clock speed, you're going to have a shorter battery life because you're having more tasks to be done in that particular system, so the battery life is going to be lower. So the processor speed, the CPU, and the clock speed is not the only thing you consider when you want to purchase a system. So another important thing you should consider is the RAM. Actually, not this RAM. Okay, so this is RAM I meant. So RAM means random access memory. So the RAM is the memory that is available to your computer. So when this Photoshop, the Microsoft Word, your video editing apps are running, the memory at which they run on is referred to as the RAM. So the more RAM you have on your system, the more application you can run at the same time. But if you have a slower RAM and you want to run many applications, your system will be slowing and some of the apps will be buffering. Okay, some of them will be dragging, some will even hang when you are running them with a lower RAM. So your system specification, when you are checking your RAM, you'll see something like you'll be seeing something like 2 gig RAM, 2 gigabit RAM. See something like 4 gig, 4 GB. You see something like 8 GB, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. So the higher the RAM you buy, the more application you can run simultaneously at the same time without your system getting slow. So if you are buying a higher giga RAM on your system, you should also consider buying a higher processor speed system so that you not waste money on the other hand and you're not getting the efficiency you want from your system. So the next thing you should consider is the hard drive. So hard drive are magnetic storage medium for a computer. Hard drive are flat circular plates made of aluminum or glass and coated with a magnetic material. Okay, this is just an English. Just know that a hard drive is the memory provided for your system to store your files. So you have image, if you have image file, video files, text files, any downloaded document at all, they are being stored on your hard drive. So the more hard drive you have, the more files you can have on your system. So we have two types of hard drive. So we have the SSD and HDD. So the SSD means the solid state drive and the HDD is the hard disk drive. So the SSD is more efficient, more effective, and more expensive. Okay, that does not mean that the HDD is bad. Okay, but your first consideration, when we talk about the processor speed and we talk about the clock speed and also the RAM you need. So when you are buying a higher processor speed, a higher clock speed, and also a higher RAM speed, you should also consider the speed of your memory. Okay, so the SSD will work for you perfectly if you are having those high speed features we just mentioned before. So if you are running an intensive programs like the intense video editing, gaming, and graphics, you should be considering SSD. Like I said, that does not mean that HDD is not okay. So the higher the size of your hard drive, the more the files you can save on your system. Now, looking at the advancement in technology, you don't even need to really consider your hard drive size when you're buying your system, because you can easily save all your files on Google Cloud, Dropbox, or even OneDrive. Okay, so if you are a kind of person that have many files, you can back up all your file on the cloud, like using the Google Cloud, OneDrive, or Dropbox, or any of the cloud services where you can store your data. So another thing you should consider is a dedicated graphics card. But if you are not into intensive video editing and into gaming, you shouldn't bother about graphics card. Okay, but if you're into gaming, you should be considering a dedicated graphics card system, not an integrated graphics card system. So another thing you should consider is your computer monitor size. So the size of your screen depends on you. So if you're a gamer, I would advise you should go for something bigger. Okay, but then the size of your screen will depend on what you want. All right, so this will be the end for this video. If you have been following me from the beginning to this stage, kudos to you. I believe now you can make a better choice when you want to purchase your next system. Don't forget to comment all your troubles on the comment section below. If you're having any issue with your computer system that you need solution about that particular issue, drop it on the comment section below. I'm going to attend to it. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Share this video to also a friend that is having issue purchasing a new system. Stay connected and await my next video. Thank you guys.